Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, board members, for your attention today. As I said in my opening remarks and always do, this board has a duty to protect the public health, safety, and welfare, and you do that by enforcing minimum standards for your licensed general contractors. And despite everything that's going on around this case and all the testimony that we've heard about today, I think this case is really pretty straightforward. This is about building code violations, right? Nothing more, nothing less. It's not about the contract, it's about the building code violations. If you look at the notice of hearing in Exhibit 1, Exhibit 4, the violation summaries, Exhibit 5, the violation summaries, and Exhibit 6, the engineer report, that documents what this case is about, and it's about those code violations. And frankly, in all my time before this board, I've never seen a case with this many documented code violations. There's 25 code violations cited in the notice of hearing, and there's 19 cited in the engineer's report. So if that doesn't sound like gross negligence or incompetence, then I'm not sure what will rise to the level of that. Mr. Sparrow mentioned about what this board would expect of its licensed general contractors, and frankly, I don't think that this board would expect to see what you have seen today. Lindley Builders was issued a limited residential license in 2008. Mr. Lindley is a qualifying party for Lindley Builders. In that time, he testified he's built 12 to 15 houses, so maybe less than one per year. And in all of that, there's never been plans. We didn't see any plans today. No one knows where they are. But in 2019, Lindley Builders and the Molbachs entered into a contract for a new home in Chatham County. There's no engineered plan submitted to the county. The permit records, which is a true and accurate copy from Chatham County, doesn't have any plans included in it. And then, in spring of 2020, as the construction was underway, the front porch collapsed. There's a foundation wall that collapsed, and no one disagrees that that happened, and no one disagrees that that was not re-inspected after it was repaired in a different fashion in which it was constructed in the first place. I mean, we could stop right there. That's gross negligence. But from there, the project continued and became more and more difficult for both parties. And again, not going to get into the contractual disputes. That's been resolved. But what hasn't been resolved is the number of building code violations. And as you heard from Mr. Molbach's testimony, from the days that he and his family moved in until now, there has been ongoing issues with this project that have not been resolved. That led to the county reviewing the project, engineers being hired by both sides, and then the engineer report that you saw in Exhibit 6. And that report is dated February 23, 2022, almost 2 years after completion of the project. And the site visit that led to that report was done over a year after the project was completed. And Mr. Johnson testified that all of those building code citations on there were done contemporaneously. Measurements were done contemporaneously. Everything was done at the time that site visit was made. And he also testified that he wouldn't have included any of those code references had there not been some sort of issue identified. And I think, frankly, no offense to Mr. Huff, but he was the most credible witness that we had today. The level of detail that he went into about the code violations that he saw, the issues that he saw in this house, I think speaks volumes. And if nothing else, just go back and look at that report and think about what his testimony was, because that's the most important evidence that you saw today. And then on top of that, Mr. Huff went and documented the same code violations. He went out, made a site visit, spoke with the homeowners, reviewed the engineer report, and saw the same level of code violations. And in the end, he cited them for 25. And again, that's in the notice of hearing. It's outlined in Exhibit 5, the violation summaries from Mr. Huff, and the engineer report in Exhibit 6. This is a serious case. Lindley Builders did not construct a home that complied with the North Carolina Building Code. The general contractor is responsible for maintaining compliance with the building code. A code enforcement official's job is not to protect the general contractor from making mistakes. The code enforcement official's job is just like yours, and that's to protect the public. And so you heard Mr. Lindley's testimony about his opinions on various provisions of the building code, and we went through a number of the building code violations that were cited in the notice of hearing. And it's his opinion that he didn't violate a single one of those. You heard from Mr. Huff and you heard from Mr. Johnson, who have very different observations about what happened. frankly, Mr. Lindley's testimony comes down to it's everyone else's fault except for his. Subcontractors didn't catch it, building code officials didn't catch it, the Molebox didn't let his engineers come out and complete a report, and this board should be sending out notifications every time the building code has been updated. That's the responsibility of the general contractors. And when we talk about what competence means for a general contractor, it means about accepting responsibility, know when to ask for help, know what the building code says, and know what your own limitations are in constructing a home. And none of those things apply here. It's your job to protect the public. So in reviewing the evidence and testimony today and deliberations, I ask that you consider appropriate discipline for home tillers and qualified.